Okay, in this video, I want to show you a little bit about conditionally formatting text. And in particular, the idea of this video is that I want to conditionally format the titles of various movies that appear in column A, as long as they are between the letters assigned to this table. So the idea is that we're going to control, let's say for example, the color that Alice responds to. Alice perhaps is a green, Beth is potentially a purple, Joe is an orange, and Tom is, let's say, a red. So as long as a movie starts, let's say, between the letters A through G, I want this to look up a value in the table and conditionally format this cell color based on the starting and ending location. So let's go ahead and click on conditional format, and let's go ahead and enter a new rule. We have several to choose from. Again, we want to base this rule off of a cell value. So what we can actually do is tell Excel, okay, format this only for cells that contain a cell value that's between a starting point and an ending point. So for text, what Excel does is look at the starting letter. So in this case, an A2 would be A, and A6 would be B, and pretty much ignores everything else. So let's go ahead and try this. Let's conditionally format A2 with a starting reference of D2 and an ending location of G. Now we do have to think of how we're going to use this formula, and in particular the format that we want to fill. In this case, we never want the location of this A and G to change location. So it's okay to leave the dollar signs anywhere that are by default placed. We do want to change the format. Let's change this to the color that we assigned over here, which would be this green. Hit OK, and hit OK again. So we do see that Alice is assigned to this movie because she is assigned to any movie that starts with the letter A all the way up until a movie that starts with the letter G. Now let's see how Excel actually handles this to see if it includes G or does not include G. Let me use the format painter and fill down. Right away we can see that the ending location is not inclusive, meaning it's all the way up to G but does not include G. So what we might want to do in the table is actually for the second person, let's go ahead and reference the ending location for each one of these remaining people. So let's fill these formulas down, in other words. Now right now we are seeing zeros, but that'll be taken care of. Okay, for Beth, let's assign her with a range from G to L. For Joe, let's assign him a range from L to T. And for Tom, let's assign him T through the remaining movies up until Z. Let's go ahead and go back to our reference cell here, A2. Go to conditional format. We want to add a new rule based on the cell that contains a starting letter of G and an ending letter of L, and we'll change this format to purple and hit OK. OK again. Now if we use the format painter now, we can apply this format in A2 to the remaining cells, and it pretty much overwrites any other format that might have existed. So we do see that Beth is starting at G and all the way down to L. So now we just have to apply the last two in this list, and we'll just do that all at once before using the format painter again. So let's go to conditional format, new rule, format only cells that contain cell value between L and T. Format this as orange. Apply OK. OK. Go back as long as you're selected on A2. Conditional formatting, new rule. Let's add our fourth and final. Cells that contain between T and Z. Format to red. And hit OK. Hit OK. Now we're ready to use our format painter for the last time. Let's apply this down through the last movie here, which is X-Men. Take a brief look at our sheet. Does look like we have every single range accounted for. And let's just see the dynamic nature of Excel if we were to change this. Let's start with A and go to, let's say D, and we'll notice in this portion that the colors will change. So now Beth is assigned from D to L. Let's change that to perhaps P. Change Joe from a starting point of P to Q. And finally Tom from Q to Z. So now if we take a look at this, the ranges have changed considerably, where Joe has only 3 movies assigned to him, let's just say. So anyway, this is an example of using our conditional formatting feature in Excel to look at the very first letter of a text value and assigning that to a certain color.